Oh my word, people, we have created a super dominant 4-2-3-1 in Discord. A Marco Silva 4-2-3-1 at Fulham tactic was requested, so I thought, why not try it? I have done a few 4-2-3-1s, but nothing like this one. This one is really intriguing. We are using a target forward, and it is, of course, based off Marco Silva's 4-2-3-1 at Fulham. In the video, we are going to do just a mini analysis. We're going to look at the results, look at the tactic, and then play a game to see how the tactic plays out. I hope you guys enjoy it. I know I will. Let's get started. So yes, people, we are back here again, reading off the internet. We are using Total Football Analysis this time with their Marco Silva tactical analysis. I use this site because I know it is okay. So we're going to read a little bit about it. I'm just going to pick the most intriguing parts. It is a very long read, so the link will be in the description below, but we're just going to look at this very briefly. I'm going to pick up the most intriguing parts, and we're going to try and implement that to our tactic in Football Manager. So of course, Marco Silva uses a 4-2-3-1. That is the tactic that we are going to be using, and Silva has been a proud proponent of the philosophy more commonly known in England as positional play. Now tomorrow I've got another video, but that's going to be based around positional play, how to play like Pep, and I'm going to break down what exactly positional play is and how to implement it in Football Manager. But back to Marco Silva, we are using a 4-2-3-1. Now looking at the positional statistics as well, we can see here Fulham, they have the second highest average possession, just over or around 60%. In Football Manager, we actually managed to achieve 60% on the dot as well. So I mean, as far as recreations go, this is fairly similar when it comes to average possession. So we do know this is going to be possession based, but not just possession for possession's sake. Credit to Silva and his coaches, as well as the players executing the game plan on a game-to-game basis. Fulham are anything but boring, scoring 99 goals so far when this article was written. The team with the second highest tally at the time was Bournemouth with 69, so we can see a huge gap between the two. And now looking at their build-up play, playing out from the back in the modern era has been, well, the norm, and Fulham's approach is no different. However, irrespective of whether the Lily White set up in a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, the shape always resembles the former in deeper areas. A noticeable element of their tactics in the build-up phase is that players' positioning is very wide. Very key to what we're going to be doing in Football Manager. As shown in the image, Fulham's midfield in particular remains very wide. The side maintain a single pivot and 2 8s in this phase, with the former sitting behind the opponent's first line of pressure. The 2 advanced midfielders typically stay in the half spaces and sit behind the defending side's midfield. Once the pieces have been assembled on Silva's chessboard, Fulham will try and progress further up the pitch in 2 manners. Firstly, the Cottagers play out in the wider areas and use combination play to bypass the press. They do so by creating overloads down the sides. Using a 4-3-3 in possession gives the side the ability to form triangular and diamond-shaped passing structures around the ball. If the overload isn't working and the opposition are effectively stopping any access for forward passes, Fulham would try to switch the play over to the ball-far winger who remains hugging the touchline. Now, moving over to their positional play, Fulham are so calculated and purposive in possession under Silva. Each player is given a specific function within the system, and their positioning on the field changes depending on which side the ball is on. For instance, Silva wants his fullbacks to perform the exact same function but at different times to each other. When the ball is over on the left hand side and the left back has advanced up the pitch, the right back tucks inside and creates a temporary back three alongside the 2 central defenders. This is mirrored when the ball is on the right wing as well. So again, that is very key, and that is something that we want to implement in Football Manager. Nevertheless, in true positional play embodiment, this does not always have to be the case. If the team's number 6 drops in the space besides them or in between the centre backs, both fullbacks can bomb up the flanks with both wingers inverting, and again, that's positional play, making sure that temporary back three is in place. Where some managers instruct their wingers to invert into the half space, Guardiola and Silva generally prefer their wide players to stay on the outside, allowing the number 8s to occupy these half space areas. And this data visualization displays the area of all 29 of the Londoners' positional attacks from their most recent outing against Preston, again at the time this was written. 21 of the positional attacks happened down the flanks, with just 8 coming through the middle. Lastly, for off the ball, the two centre-backs sit well inside the opposition's half and almost operate as two deep-lying playmakers in possession. This allows the team to counter-press effectively once the ball is lost, as there are numerous players in close proximity to the press. Fulham press high in general. There is a clear emphasis from the manager that he wants his players to apply pressure to their opponents as high up the pitch as possible in order to stifle build-up play. But as the team drop down into their lower block, Fulham's approach becomes more Mourinho-like. Silva stays true to the Spanish and Dutch mythology of football in possession, but prefers to revert back to his Portugal roots in defensive phases. If the team's base formation is a 4-2-3-1, which we will be using, it will become more of a 4-4-2 in these areas, whereas their 4-3-3 will become a 4-5-1. The defensive side's approach certainly works too, as Fulham have conceded just 39 goals this season in the Championship, again at the time of writing, which is the second lowest behind Nottingham Forest. The Cottagers even boast the lowest expected goals against in the league with just 42.47 over the course of this campaign. Now, unfortunately, that wraps up this mini brief analysis. Now we're going to go and look at the results that we got with this fantastic Football Manager tactic, then look at the tactic, and lastly sign off with a match. So we can start off by looking at the results, and as you can see, we were very dominant over the course of the campaign. We did lose to Southampton 4-0, and we are one of the better sides in the Championship, so we are expected to do really well. But we did play better teams than us. We did play a few teams in the division higher than us. Now, we did just get smoked 4-0 against Southampton. Admittedly though, that was the Carabao Cup and I was saving legs, so I did heavily rotate my side. Once you take Mitrovic out of his role, then kind of there isn't a backup here at Fulham. But we can see here in the FA Cup, we'd had a very good round, or a very good run I should say. We beat Coventry 3-2 in the third round, but against Leicester we smashed them 4-2 at the King Power Stadium. We then beat Sunderland 3-0 away from home, and then we played a team again in the Premier League, which was Wolves 3-2, which took us to the semi-final, where we got knocked out eventually by Leeds. The game was fairly harsh. As you can see, we were slightly the better team. They had 2 shots on target, they scored both. Their goalkeeper was man of the match. The XG is on our side. We had more of the ball, so we didn't just dominate the Championship because we are the best side. It did help a lot, of course, but against teams that are better than us, we still performed in a similar fashion. And looking at these results as well, you can see that we did score a lot of goals, which is confirmed by the XG table. We were expected to score just about 101 goals, but we actually scored 125. The expected points, 105. We actually got 129 points. Expected to finish first, and we did actually finish first. So of course, now we can look at the league table, and of course, as you probably guessed it, we finished top. We played 46, we won 42, drawing 3, losing 1. That one loss came at home, surprisingly, to Barnsley. We scored 125, but we also had the best defense in the league with just 20 conceded. Looking at the stats, we had the most points per game, of course. We scored the most goals, had the most shots for, fewest shots against. Best pass completion goes to Bournemouth. They slightly done better than us with 92%. We had 91, but when it comes to the average possession, we top it in the division with 60%. Most tackles won, not in the top 8. Most dribbles made, we come in third. Most clean sheets, it is Fulham with 29, 10 more than Bournemouth. And for the conceded, we conceded 20 less than Bournemouth. For the top goal scorers, Harry Wilson and Mitrovic as the top 2 goal scorers, and Cabano there in 4th place with 22. Cabano though has the most assists. Harry Wilson in that list, Fabio Carvalho and Alexander Mitrovic. He's also in that list. Most key passes, Harry Wilson, Cabano also in that list. Best pass completion, we have Tim Ream, one of our centre-backs. Tackles won, nobody's there. Most dribbles made, nobody's there. Most clean sheets, our goalkeeper, of course. And for the fewest conceded, our goalkeeper there once again. So looking at the top goal scorers in our team, Harry Wilson with 33 goals in all competitions. Mitrovic with 31 in 49 starts. And Cabano with 23. Chalobah with 11. Now looking at the assist, Harry Wilson with 22 in all comps, Cabano with 21, Fabio Carvalho with 15, Mitrovic with 13, and Harrison Reed with 11. But But I also wanted to show you guys it doesn't just work for the first team. No. So the under 18s in their English Division 1, they won that group with Chelsea and Tottenham, of course, have a way better youth team than us. But we did get to the final as well of the under 18 divisions, and guess what? We won that too, beating Manchester United under 18s as well. So the tactic must be decent. Looking at the stats here again, we see that Fulham's under 18s did have the most average possession, or the highest average possession, but also the best pass completion, the most shots for, and they also scored the most goals as well. But that wraps up the results. Now let's get into this tactic. So here we are with the tactic. Here is the 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 hybrid now in possession, or as play goes on, similar to what Fulham do in real life as well. In possession, a lot of the times they do look like a 4-3-3, though their base formation on a lot of the times can be a 4-2-3-1. So what we are doing is counting these two central midfielders as our two in midfield, and then the 3-1 would of course be the attacking midfielders and then our striker up top. So we're going to go through the team instructions. The mentality, it is on positive. The attacking width is set to wide, just so we can get the ball into those wider areas and build up in the wider areas, get some combinations in those wider areas again, just like Fulham do in real life. For the approach play, we are going to be playing out from the back, which is key for this Fulham tactic. And in the final third, I mean, we are going to be sending in low crosses and working the ball into the box, though we do have a target forward. It's just so we aren't constantly just putting the ball into the box pointlessly and limiting the quality of our chance creation. We don't constantly just want to get the ball into the box, though we do have Mitrovic. He's just one striker. Sometimes he might be the only player in the box, so at least we can hold the ball up around the box, allow others to get inside the box, and then we can possibly cross or play a through ball. For the low crosses, again, we're just increasing that tendency. It doesn't necessarily mean that every time we're going to cross, we're going to put in a low cross. We are just increasing that tendency for the low crosses. Again, we do not want to limit our quality of chances. Now, looking at the dribbling, we are also going to run at the defense. In transition, when the possession has been lost, we are going to counter press. By default, when the possession has been won, we are not going to counter. If you are struggling to break down the opposition, then you can use counter. But to be fair, a lot of the times I didn't need it, and it does help with the possession once you have won the ball back as well. Goalkeeper in possession, we are going to roll it out. You can choose to roll it out or take short kicks depending on your goalkeeper's distribution, and we are going to distribute the ball to the centre backs just to try and get the opposition to defend narrow, and then we can play the ball into those wider areas, giving us some time and space out in those wider areas. Out of possession, the defensive width, we are using the offside trap, the higher line of engagement, and the highest defensive line. Now, Fulham aren't the most aggressive team in the Championship, and neither are we going to be in Football Manager. So we are defending high, so we are going to be a little bit proactive, or more proactive I should say, rather than reactive, and the trigger press is more often, so we are trying to be the more dominant side, but nothing overly aggressive. We're not overworking, but also we do need to be wary when we do drop into our defensive block, not to pull out players from positions, because we also need to be defensively solid. We are going to force the opposition on the outside, and we are preventing the short goalkeeper distribution, forcing some long kicks and using the offside trap, if I haven't mentioned that already. Now, for the player roles, in goal, we are using a super keeper on defend. He has no added instructions. For the fullbacks, they are both fullbacks on support. They have identical instructions. Cross aimed into the center where the target forward should be. He's going to get further forward and sit more narrow. Both of them have sit more narrow because, like in the analysis, if one has the ball in the wide area, then I want the left back to cut inside, making a temporary back three, which you can see with the screenshot. Now, for the two centre-backs, we are using ball-playing defenders, similar to Marco Silva. I mentioned in the analysis that the two centre-backs can act as two deep-lying playmakers, and that is what we're trying to do. They are going to be dribbling more, staying wider to create an angle, but also tackle harder, be more aggressive. In defensive midfield, we are using a defensive midfielder on support. The only instruction he has is to pass it shorter, and in midfield, his partner will be a box-to-box midfielder, cross and aim for the target forward. We can actually remove that. That is not needed. He is going to get further forward, but also move into the channels because the 2 8s, now we're going to flip this into a 4-3-3 in possession. The 2 8s need to be operating in that half space. So now moving into that or onto that advanced playmaker, he too is going to be moving into the channels, but he has Mark tighter. The inverted wingers, they have identical instructions, which are cross aim into the center, shoot less often, stay wider, and mark tighter. We are staying wider to stretch the play because we do want our 2 wingers to be hugging the touchline. Now when they get the ball, that is when they're going to invert, but as we are building up and without the ball, they are going to be focusing on stretching the play. Lastly, up front, we got our target forward, our Alexander Mitrovic, taking more risk, and that there wraps up the tactics. So now the only thing left to do is play that game. We are playing Stoke, which I believe was the first game of the season. Oh, Middlesbrough, sorry. So we are playing Middlesbrough, which is the first game of the season. We actually won that 4-0, but we're going to play that again because that is when I saved as and, you know, created that save game so we can play this game again. So let's get stuck in to that game. So, welcome back to the game. Now I've got my headphones on, we mean business, and this is the team that we are going to go with for today. Let's get stuck in and hopefully win this game. It's Lumley with a goal kick. Now he's going to kick it long. Can we win that? Yes, we do. Tosin, Seri now in that wider area there. Here's Wilson driving towards goal. Oh, he's got to do better. Wow, that keeper just kicked it. Here's Robinson with the throw in to Cabana. Robinson now plays it back to Tim Ream. Ref! Tosin, go on boy, drive. Wilson pulls it back to Cavadio. Someone's got to find Mitro. He doesn't. He finds Seri, who doesn't typically start, but he starts today because Harrison Reed is injured and he gets on the score sheet. 1-0 to the boys, the Cottagers. Almost called them the Craven Cottagers. Nice little build-up play there, and we slot it in the back of the net. 1-0 to Fulham. I do have a feeling, though, 1-0 is not going to be enough. 1-0 won't be enough. It's Tim Ream, Cabana with the ball. Robinson, Shaloba plays it to Tosin, to Cavadio, Wilson. Lovely stuff here, Cabano. Through on goal, he's going to come back. Seri, Cavadio, is it 2? Or is it off? I think the ref is pointing towards though. Yeah, he is. He's pointing towards the halfway line because it's 2-0 to Fulham. That was lovely build-up play there. I say lovely build-up play, but once we got inside the box, it was well worked here by Cabano. I thought he was going to go towards goal, but he plays it to Seri, and then Seri, it goes to Cavadio, and then we put the ball in the back of the net. Again, it's 2-0 to the Fulham boys. So at half-time, we've had 12 shots, 6 on target, XG of 1.40, and we've seen more of the ball, 58%. Now it's time for the second half. Hopefully, we can have more of that, please. What I'm actually going to do as well is change his role to a pressing forward, and let's see how that goes. 65 minutes, no highlights in the second half. I mean, it looks like Middlesbrough just... Oh, there we go. Oh, no. Off the line by Robinson. Off the line by Fulham there. Wow, we've had to defend well there. It looks like Fulham are just trying to close off this game. Here is the Middlesbrough goalkeeper. He kicks it long. It falls to Tete, though. It really feels like we're just trying to close out this game. Ref, that's the second yellow. There's not even a highlight. It's not even a highlight. It's the second yellow. I feel that might just be the end of the game. All the action was in the first half. We have beaten Middlesbrough 2-0, and I mean, it was a decent performance. I kind of expected better, but it was the first game of the season as well. We'll have to bear that in mind. And that wraps up the game. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I have enjoyed recording it. I hope you guys try out the tactic as well, or you can take tips and try out something similar. I will see you guys soon. Stay safe. Peace out to all my Patreons. I love all of you guys. Stay safe. Peace out. God bless.